Hey guys, I wanted to talk about the phenomenon that I've been dealing with in audio quite a bit lately, and that's treble boosted audio equipment. I've noticed that a lot of treble boosted audio equipment sounds bad. And most of this stuff originally was flatter or duller in the treble, and then companies gave you the option or the upgrade or the newer version where they did a treble boost to make things brighter, clearer, more lively. But one of the most recent examples of this is the DCM8 SE Electronics Dynacaster. This microphone sounds amazing in flat mode. Sounds better than a Shure SM7B. And we can look that up here. And I just had to come to the conclusion that this microphone, the DCM8, in flat mode, sounds really good. Sounds ultra transparent, ultra good. But when we look at the frequency response for it, my target has a treble boost here. Okay, this is flat, or even it kind of goes down a little bit in the treble, with the switch is off on the Dynacaster. So now it has the option to do like a treble boost, a huge treble boost, a slight treble boost like that, a bass boost, a bass roll off and stuff. So a lot of people use this microphone like this tuning. It has the bass boost and it has the treble boost. That's how it comes stock when you originally get the microphone. It has the bass boost and the treble boost like that. But the treble boost sounds colored and piercing and fatiguing. We can see it's got like those two lumps. I mean, look at this. That's not a smooth shelf like that. It shoots up, it shoots down very dramatically. It's got these two peaks. So it's very funky and colored. It doesn't sound smooth at all. So that's one example of I was hoping it would be tolerable when I got this. It's not. It colors the sound too much. I don't like it. So I actually like it flat. I like it flat. It sounds more natural. It doesn't sound funky. It doesn't sound piercing in the treble. Now, we're going to look at something else now. The Rode NT1. So originally the Rode NT1 came out and it was like this, okay? It was not perfect. This frequency response makes it look really smooth, really good. No peaks, no cuts. It's a little bit colored. It doesn't, actually, this is like a cartooniture drawing that the company made to represent the tonality of this microphone. But it did sound really good. Like this, the Rode NT1 4th Gen was like my top recommendation for a microphone sub $1,000. It was really good. It had a little bit of tonality problems that I didn't like, but it was very subtle, And I upgraded since then with the TLM103. So you're listening to me using the TLM103 in red here. It's got a much bigger treble boost, okay? And it's smoother than the Rode NT1, and it has a big treble boost, and it works. Now, they came out with a new NT1, 5th Gen Signature Series, and that's what the purple line is, okay? So the purple line is the new Rode NT1, 5th Gen, okay? You see the purple one here? 5th Gen. And it shows you this is the advertised frequency response. It's probably more piercing than it looks. So it's got this peak right here, and it probably peaks out here too and cuts down. So it's got like these two peaks on, and the 4th Gen didn't have such intense coloration. They don't even show it. So, we could see they don't even show a peak on the 4th Gen, and then they show two peaks on the 5th Gen, okay? So doing a treble boost on the 4th Gen to the 5th Gen added more coloration, more treble fatigue, and we can even listen to this guy admit it, in this video.
And then we have something that is a little bit odd to my ears. Because of the treble boost, it sounds very bright, but it doesn't sound lively or exciting or realistic. It doesn't have that same shimmer that I love on my acoustic instruments. And I think that's because it doesn't have a high shelf. It has more of a peak boost in the treble. So it's certainly not my favorite sound for that instrument, but it does work.
When I'm listening to that microphone, it definitely sounds like it has a 6K peak. I can hear a 6K tone. Okay, I know what 6K sounds like. And this has a 6K peak. And I think the 4th gen, before they did the treble boost, was much more subtle in its coloration problems. So this is a prime example of they do a treble boost and it sounds worse. If we go back to my form, we can see this happening time and time again. So, for example, the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pros. If we look here, stock tuning of the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pros, which is the gold line here. Stock tuning, the treble is very smooth. It doesn't go, I want it more treble boosted. Okay, so this is yet again another example of, okay, stock tuning with the EQ set to normal. This is how it sounds normally with no processing, no EQ. The treble has this huge hole in it, and it's, it looks like that. So I want it to be more like this, boosted in the treble. So you can use this dynamic EQ, and dynamic EQ typically means boosting the bass and boosting the treble. Okay, so this dynamic EQ boosts the treble, but the result is these huge peaks. It introduces these harsh colored peaks. And this is the reason why I refuse to use EQ, because I've noticed that a lot of times it will add coloration to the sound. And this is a prime example. It's kind of like an example I'm going to show you in a second with my headphones. But what could be happening here is like a lot of audio gear has dampening, like a piece of foam to try to dampen the high frequencies, to try to smooth them out. And I think what could be happening here is when you do that treble boost with EQ, it makes the intensity of the treble stronger, which allows resonant peaks to get through any dampeners, any foam. So it seems like when you boost the treble, it has the possibility of enhancing the coloration. Okay, so we see that with these earbuds, it introduces those peaks. We see that with these microphones. The Rode NT1, it introduces peaks. We saw that with the BCM SE, DCM, flat, it introduces peaks. So flat doesn't, have these big intense peaks. You could say, oh, well, isn't it, doesn't it have the peaks here? Yeah, but once you boost it, it intensifies it. Now these peaks are a lot more intense and more colored. Okay, so I keep seeing it time and time again. It's kind of the same with the DT990s that I have. I even made an article about this not that long ago. Dampening filters. And I talk about, here's like an earbud with and without dampening. Okay, so front tube dampening removed. The red line, it has these huge peaks, this huge fatigue coloration in the treble. It's the same with the DT990s, the headphones. When the pads compress, it dampens the peaks and the highs. We can look that up on my grapher. So DT990s, dampened, undampened. So we can see those huge peaks. when you allow those resonant peaks to get through fresh ear pads, but once they wear down, they compress, they dampen those highs, those peaks go away. So that's mainly what I wanted to say in this video. I was thinking about buying the Rode NT1 5th Gen and using it as like an example product. You know, if you don't have $1,000 to buy Neumann TL103s, you can buy a Rode NT1 for like $150. 5th Gen, you know. But I was listening to it and it sounded colored. It sounded fatiguing in the highs. And I'm like, I can't recommend this. So I've always been recommending the 4th Gen, not the 5th Gen, because even though it doesn't have a treble boost, at least the coloration, the peaks are not as bad. So again, I've seen it on microphones, condensers and dynamics, earbuds, headphones. When companies do a treble boost or they're not properly dampened, these peaks, this coloration can get through. And that's the reason why a lot of people, they end up going to like Sennheiser. You know, these peaks are fatiguing to a lot of people, so they go, I'm going to get some HD 650s. You know, which does, you know, it just pulls out all the treble. So it's not harsh anymore. It's not colored anymore in those frequencies because you can't hear it. You know, so you know, some people opt to get rid of the treble rather than deal with fatiguing treble. So that you want something in between, you know, like the Simgot EM6Ls. In between, you see that? Like, I've kind of made jokes about that. Okay, that, you know, yeah, sure, these peaks are fatiguing, but the answer is not to just rip out all the treble so you don't have to deal with it. It's to smooth out the treble. Okay, that's what you want. You want the in between. You know, you don't want the extreme highs and you don't want the extreme lows. You want the in between. And the DT990s with worn ear pads is the in between. Okay, it's the in between. So at the end of the day, the treble boosted one, you know, a lot of people say it's better to take it away than to try to bring up something that's not even there. You know, you can't EQ the HD 650s to have treble. The treble's already gone. But you can dampen or roll off the DT990s. Well, you can't really roll off that. I mean, you can dampen it to get rid of resonance peaks. Okay. So this is, you know, what I'm trying to explain to you guys, that, you know, the solution, it's kind of like microphones. You know, a lot of people like the Shure SM7B because it's not, it doesn't have much treble. In fact, it's kind of dark, and people consider that smooth. It's better a lot of times than getting a microphone that has fatiguing treble. I'm trying to think of one that's overly prominent, overly peaky, overly piercing, like the AT4040. So, for example, these two microphones. The AT4040, it's a condenser, but it has a much more piercing peak. It's much more piercing. It's much more fatiguing on the AT4040. So the more you reduce those peaks, you know, this is a good example, the less fatiguing it's going to be. Now, you know, this cut right here is actually really bad. And it is still peaky here, so this is still cope. This still has a lot of coloration problems. It's just more subtle than a lot of other audio equipment. Okay, so that's the reason why I recommend the DCM8 in flat mode. In flat mode. So the DCM8 in flat mode, in green here, we can see the DCM8 in flat mode has the smoothest, less fatiguing treble of the bunch. You know, it's smooth all the way across. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, It doesn't go up. You know, it doesn't have all this extreme fatigue. It's flat, which is not optimum, but at least it doesn't have all this drastic peak fatigue coloration. Okay? And that's the reason why that podcastage guy was talking about this.
Exciting or realistic. It doesn't have on the acoustic guitars. Because of the treble boost, it sounds very bright, but it doesn't sound lively or exciting or realistic. It doesn't have that same shimmer that I love on my acoustic instruments. And I think that's because it doesn't have a high shelf. It has more of a peak boost in the treble. So it's certainly not my favorite.
So it's fatiguing. It's not, so again, like these peak boosts, okay? You want a high shelf. Like a high shelf looks like the TLM-103, okay? That's what the TLM-103 looks like. It's boosted. There's nothing wrong with a treble boost as long as it's smooth. We can see how smooth that is on the TLM-103, okay? So it's not the treble boost itself that's bad. It's the peaks that make up the treble boost that's bad, okay? So these two microphones, I recommend heavily. The DCM8 in flat mode and the TLM-103 stock, which has a treble boost, because it's smooth. It doesn't have peaks, okay? So that's the reason why I say both of these are end game, because they're smooth. They're not fatiguing. All right? So I'll see you guys later. I really wanted to talk about this because this is a nuance that bothers me. This is where, I'm glad the companies show you that there's at least something there when they boost the treble, these peaks and crap. But these are things that I don't like to deal with. I don't like to talk about because they're so subtle and nuanced. But they're clearly there. You see them, okay? So it's not that subtle, not that nuanced, and that's the reason why I want to talk about it. Sometimes there's things that they're hard to show you. And this I can show you, but sometimes there's things that are hard to show you. You just like, you got to believe me, or, I'm not crazy. But anyway, I'll see you guys later.